What's up? I'm Gabe from G&J Cards, and today we're going to be talking to you guys a little bit about how we started our own Pokemon card business. Come along with me.
Hey, I'm Jax. We first decided we wanted to start selling cards in late October when we first seen each other at a family event for the first time in a while. So we decided to go through our collection. The best cards we found from there was the Espeon VMAX from Fusion Strike and a couple other singles. We decided to sell them to get cash so we could start our business. So then after we sold them, we got about $300. The Espeon was very damaged, so it was hard to move, but we were able to sell it to a LCS for a pretty good price. So then we had decided to go on a Facebook Marketplace collection buyout, and after that, our business went up.
So we had a bunch of cards ranging from sports to TCG, so we decided to try our hand at Whatnot, and we sold a good amount of cards on there, but then we noticed that traction began to slow down, so we took the money that we earned from Whatnot and we camped out for the release of Mega Evolution at GameStop. A local card show was happening at a store down the street, so we decided to go, and we took some of our cards, we sold most of them, and we picked up our mascot Blastoise PSA 10 XY Evolutions, and we wanted to take the money that we earned from there and buy some more cards from Facebook Marketplace. After that, we had amassed a pretty good collection of mid to high-end singles that we were going to use to try and maybe vend a show in the future.
So the next weekend, we seen there was a 2-day card show, but on Saturday, I think we found out Saturday night that it was Saturday and Sunday. It was in Walnut Creek, which is around an hour for us. So we decided to hit him up and see if he had a spot for just a 1 day to just see if we could experience our first vending. And he actually gave us a good deal instead of paying full price. So the next morning, we actually picked up a display case and then decided to drive all the way there to vend. The vending was pretty good. The show was TCG verse. We actually picked up quite some stuff there and actually sold a lot. It was pretty rough. We had about $300 in sales, but it was a good first vending experience and we learned a lot from it.
So after that show, we ended up having about $300 in sales. We decided not to save any of the money, and we wanted to use it to try and make a deal vendor to vendor to see if some people were trying to get rid of some product. We picked some things up to increase our singles inventory to get ready for a show that we did the next week prior. So we vended the next week after that show at a first time event. It was mainly geared towards sports cards, so there wasn't very many deals happening with Pokemon, but there was some other Pokemon vendors. So we went mainly vendor to vendor, and we also had some pickups. There was a guy that came around with some vintage. We picked up some vintage. We did some buying from other people. We did some vendor to vendor deals. We traded some stuff, got some sealed product. We traded some of our sealed product for other product. We gained a lot of singles from that show. And then we did a show the next week again after.
The next card show we did was CVC, Central Valley Card Show. It's actually a big card show in this area. Last year we went to just look around before we even knew we were going to end up start vending there. And it was actually really good there. It looked very popular, so that's why we wanted to end up vending it. And we seen that there was a show coming up in Modesto. And it was the last one in Modesto, so that's when we decided to do it. It was pretty good pop out. There's a lot of people, and we ended up trading a lot and buying a lot. We did also sell a lot, and it was a pretty good show. We made around $500, I'd say. And we saved around $200 just for like future drops or future vendings that we want to do. And then towards the end of the show, we started going to other vendors, trying to get good deals and try haggling them for stuff as soon as they're putting it away. That's a tip you should do. If you see them, like, go right when everyone's packing up. They'll usually take lower than what they want on their stuff. Next, we're going to talk to you guys about what works best for us while vending. Our first tip we'd recommend is getting dollar binders. Dollar binders. These will cause a lot of attraction to your booth, and there'll usually always be people at your booth looking through them, and it'll just cause like people to cause like clumping up at your table. And most of these binders, we didn't have to pay for them. We kind of did, but they came in our collection buyouts that we do, so we pretty much getting these binders for free. Basically, a dollar binder, we usually sprinkle in $3 cards in there just so people can like, so then if people find them, they'll be like, oh, these guys binders stacked, and then they'll keep looking. It'll just cause a lot of attraction for your booth. We also have price single binder. We did end up buying this binder. And make sure your binders are organized. We like organizing them from price. And binders just cause a lot of attraction to your booth. And
Mainly, most of our sales come from the binders. Like, we have, I think, $4 binders, and then we have the price singles. The price singles that are top loaded are like, those things are always smacking. We got people always in the booth, always going through everything. And then we have the display case for our higher end cards. So we go from about, I think the price single binder, the top loaded one, goes from like $2 to $11 or $2 to $12. And then everything above goes in our display case. So we just have our table stacked with binders, display case in the middle, and we just make all kinds of deals. Make sure you have your Venmo linked, make sure you have your Cash App linked, make sure you have your PayPal. Whatever you have, you want to make sure that you have it and make sure it's easy for people to access. If you can get a scanner, like a QR code or something, have your number listed so you can do your Zelle transactions. There will be people that will come up with credit cards, but cash is king, so we want that cash money.
also for your binders, I would recommend doing a vintage binder. We had a lot of bulk vintage, and a lot of people honestly like it. Because they honestly are, sometimes people try master setting, so they'll sit there going through binders. And sometimes people like want to grade the vintage cards, so they will grab them. So yeah, that's one tip from us, is make sure you have some binders laid out at your booth. Another thing is, like he was talking about, this. Get your QR codes, Apple Pay numbers, and then a little bit about you or your business, like where you're from, what you take trades at, what you pay cash at, just all about your business. And then another thing is making connections.
You always want to make sure you're talking with your vendors around you, because everyone's got the same goal in mind. They're trying to grow their business. They're trying to get deals. They're trying to make sales. So everyone's trying to do the same thing. And why not make friends with people that may give you a good deal at the end of the show, if not during the show? So we had a guy next to us that we didn't have any change when we came to the show, super unprepared, but we talked with the guy in the beginning and we were on somewhat of a friendly basis. We got $100 bill and we needed to break it. I went straight to him and he was able to break it for us. Make life super easy. Didn't have to leave the venue to try to go bust this 100 so we could get change. This dude just plugged us with that. But a lot of our deals have come from vendor to vendor. Sometimes they're interested in the sealed products that you have. You may not be able to move it, but they may think they will be able to. Or sometimes they'll be collecting a certain set that you might have, like a Pokemon Center ETB. Someone's trying to master the whole entire thing or something along the lines of that. So that's why you always want to make sure you're making friends with the people that are around you, because you never know who you may meet later on in life.
Another tip is get like your people you're vending with social media, like follow for follow. Just try and grow your social media. Or like, for example, one card show we did, we made a QR code to our Instagram and we did a weekend giveaway. They had to scan the QR code, follow us on Instagram, comment on our post, tag people, repost it, all that. And that grew our following. I think we got around 50 followers from it, which was pretty good for one show. And they also could always hit you up on Instagram.
Yep, DMs, if someone's got some stuff. I love telling people, if you have anything that you want to sell or you want to trade, please take down our Instagram, because a lot of the time the people aren't coming with their cards, or sometimes they don't have the certain card that you want that you may need for your set or something that you're collecting, or maybe they have a good card that you want to pick up for your display case or something like that. But also with the social media, make sure you're making videos. trying to promote the events that you're going to, post on Facebook Marketplace, offer up anything. I get a lot of messages of people asking where I'm going to be, if I'm going to be doing a show in the future, what kind of cards I'm having, if I still have a certain card available. If you post on these outlets, it's just a little bit of extra traction to get your event popping.
Some bonus stuff we want to add in is make sure you get a price gun. It's good for pricing stuff, and you know, it's really organized. And the night before, I'd recommend pricing your cards the night before the show you're doing or anything, because people always come up to your booth asking, oh, are you in market? Oh, is this on market? And then you could like confidently tell them you comped everything last night, and like you just know. And then another thing we also have is a
when we're doing our pricing for our cards, you want to make sure that you're accurate and on staying with the market. You don't want to be too off, you don't want to be too low, and especially you don't want to be too high, because then you're going to have people that walk past your booth and they're like, dude, these guys are too high, they may not even budge. We use collector pretty frequently, and we were using rare candy at first, but the market, it just differs so.
As PSA slabs.
Yeah, it's just too many errors were happening with the rare candy. So the best one, I could say the best app to use is probably Collector, TCG Player, and eBay Last Sold. I have a computer right up next to our booth, and I search up cards based on condition. I look them up last sold on eBay, or I pull up TCG Player. I have everything ready, so that way if someone comes up and they're wanting to make a trade or make a deal, I have my resource ready and available, and I'm about to pounce on that deal if it's something that's too good to be true, you know? So make sure you got the right apps in hand.
Another thing we do is we like to price lower than market, because most of our cards come from Marketplace, like collection buyouts, so we get a pretty good deal. The other day we bought around $500 worth of cards for around $250. One of them was a Mew V. It's about $100, and this just got brought into my mind when he was talking about not being too high. At the recent show, we had the Mew for $100, and some guy came up. He was like, dang, I just bought that for $110. I wish I walked around. That's another thing. Make sure if you're a buyer at card shows, make sure you check your other options. There could be other options cheaper. Like, for example, before we started vending, there's some guy selling the Mega Evolution ETBs for $85. I walked to the other side of the show and bought one for $70. Same with Prismatic. He was selling Prismatic for $50. I bought it for $50, and then we sold it for $55, I think 5 minutes later. So just always check your options. So now we're going to show our collection. This is like all our top-loaded singles. It may not look like a lot, because most of our singles are actually in the top-loader binder. For our top-loader binder, we like to do like $15 cards and lower, just in case anyone does steal it from us, which would suck. It wouldn't affect too much, but it would still affect us. So this is about what we keep in our case and what our case like takes. For example, just this Glaceon, and then we like to make sure, like, I don't know if it affects, but we like to put in our case, we like to have our cards by like order, like we do fire, grass, energy, water, all that. We have a Charizard row, we have a sealed promo row. These are sealed promos. We got a lot. Pokemon Center, World Cup, World Champion. And then we also do have a row of slabs we like to do. At the top, we like to do a row of slabs. We do put this in our case, even though we probably won't sell it unless we get a really good offer. But it has dropped a lot since we've got it. And like, this is like some other cards that we have. Mew V, this is a Mew V I was talking about. We do try to stay under market, so yeah.
So when we first started, we had like a lockbox safe for like a weapon almost, it looked like. and it didn't really hold very many cards. So we decided we were going to upgrade. So we just traded some cards in to our local card shop, and we picked up the Slab Daddy here. Slab Daddy holds a good amount of cards, but after vending so many shows,
I think 2 shows, it got us up to plenty of cards to exceed that limit. So we ended up picking up this nice case. It has this cool little like logo on it. This case should last us, I'm hoping, a while. Has plenty of space and looks like we have no singles. But yeah, I would recommend getting cases for your cards. It's really easy to transport cards when you're going into a show. So yeah, it's pretty easy to transport stuff. So next we're gonna talk about what we do like before a show. So the night before we come into the shop, we price all the singles. We make sure we go through our collector, go through every single, make sure it's all nice and on market, a little bit under market if that. And we fill up our binders. If binders are empty, we fill it up. And then yeah, we get ready for the show. Just make sure everything's ready. Pack up our things.
Make a checklist if you can, because there's been times where I forget things. And so you want to make sure that you're going through the vendor list or the vendor information. They'll shoot you over an email, and it'll have things that you need to do. Like, say the last show that we did, we needed a temporary seller's license. So we went online and got one of those. They give you instructions on how to enter the venue if you're a certain size. Yeah, if you're a certain size, where you should enter at. So some are like, if you have a lot of stuff, you need to go through the back door. If you have only a little bit amount, you need to just come through the front. So make sure that you're always checking those emails out.
And then I'd recommend getting some of these tubs. These tubs have been lifesavers for us. They actually we put our binders in here, are sealed in here. Slab Daddy, Slab Caddy, anything, or hold it. And then we also recommend bringing a tablecloth just in case. Usually most shows have them.
Yeah, most of them, they have them already, but if they don't, you want to make sure you have one on hand, because you don't want to be sitting there with the table with no texture. The dolly's also a good one. That one will save you some time, especially if you're working by yourself. Another thing I would say is get a partner if you're unable to go vend by yourself. Like us together, we're able to bounce off each other pretty well when we're making deals.
Usually one of us will be running around the show.
Yep,
if something's not moving with us, we'll try to go moving it to a different vendor while one of us is still at the booth, vice versa. Or if one of us needs to use the bathroom, we don't have to like rely on someone to watch our booth and trust someone, or just leave our booth unattended. Like the other weekend at a show, some guy came up to us I think he's trying to buy a card, and he's like, hold on, I'll be right back, someone's at my booth. Like that with us is really good. And filming wise, one of us could film while a deal's happening or a coin flip's happening. We'll have way better content, like quality wise. It's just so much better, 2 people, and it just really helps out.
And you should always pick up look to pick up a shelf if you have sealed product. So we just went to Target and picked up one for I think it was $38. It was just one of those plastic ones you can assemble and disassemble pretty quickly. But if you have sealed product that you want to display and you don't want to have it on your table, like us, we got a bunch of binders. We don't need to be having sealed product on our table that could be taking a binder spot where people can just look behind us and see our sealed right there.
Especially when to get another table is pretty expensive. Usually tables are $150. So to get 2 tables, it'd probably be like $300 unless they'll cut you a deal. So it's much better to just buy a shelf and have sealed behind you, and you don't have to worry about anyone taking it. Like, for example, we had some sleeve blisters out on the table, and someone actually took one, and we didn't notice, so we decided to get a shelf, and yeah, it really helped out. It holds ETBs, pretty much everything, and it's good for storage. But usually, storage-wise, you can put your stuff under your table or just behind you. And we usually put the computer right there. Anyone comes up, we just comp on the computer, put it in calculator, get our percentage. Another thing good for us is Gabe actually drives a Tesla, and it's an older one, so charging is free. So basically, transportation fees, we don't pay anything. Like if I were to drive, we'd have to pay gas. But with Gabe's car, we don't have to pay any transportation fees because the older Teslas, you don't have to pay for charging. So it actually works out in our favor. So it actually saves us quite some money. And like we kind of know people all around, so we usually like just get a couch surf at their spot, I guess. Just stay at their house instead of having to pay for a hotel. Or if we don't know them, we'd rather just drive the next morning instead of having to pay for a hotel like most vendors do. Like other show, some guy drove all the way from Oregon for the show. And I know that probably costed a lot because he's in a truck too. But yeah, that's another tip is try to just find people in the area that you know for transportation, or anything you can get for free would be better. So yeah.
Trying to save as much money as possible as you can so you can spend it on good deals. We're Gabe and Jax. We're from G&J Cards. Thank you guys for watching, and leave a comment down below. Let us know if any of these tips helped you out. Leave us some feedback.
Video ideas.
Yeah, we're new vendors. We love Pokemon, trading, buying, selling. We're local to the 209 area here in Northern California. We're looking to vend shows. We're looking to make money. We're looking to sell cards, trade cards, buy cards. Your collection, we'll take it. If you don't want to, if you're just sitting on it, we'll buy it off you.
Follow us on IG.
GJ_cards on Instagram. I'll post the links in the bio. But make sure you like, leave a comment, and subscribe. G&J out.